heading to Whitetail Outfitters of Ohio with Ty McCombs.
Back in our old spot. We spent so much time in last season.
Ohio luck continues to be exactly the same as it's always been for us.
I was so shook up. I'm worried about the shot a little bit, man.
We're heading out to Ohio. We got the trailer loaded down. Only took us about a day and a half. A little bit time consuming, but we're heading to Whitetail Outfitters of Ohio with Ty McCombs, and it's going to be a fun time. He said the deer might be a little bit locked down right now, so we'll just have to see. We're going to head into Pittsfield and get us a bite to eat first, and then it's Ohio time, baby. You know, last year we headed out to Ty's place, and we chased this really nice buck around. I mean, it was just cat and mouse the whole week. I mean, it was, if he was at the far end of the field, we'd move the stand for the evening hunt, and hopefully he's going to come out down there and he'd be at the lower end of the field. I mean, we chased him all around. We did everything we could. Never could quite get him in bow range. The second time we tried to come up, we got snowed in a blizzard. The blizzard of 09 is hit. It's bad. So we're heading back. We have a little window where we make the decision to head back home. I hate to do it because there's some, you know, Ty McCombs has got some big bucks up there, but I think better to be safe than sorry. We still hadn't made it to the mountains of West Virginia, and apparently there's plenty of snow out there to be had. We've already seen 5 people slam into the guardrails and slide off the road and stuff. And we're just gonna head on back and end up wrecking and putting the truck in a ditch. Nothing I can do with it. Sliding. There's your second bout of bad luck. The third time we tried to do a hunt up at Ty's, we were at the ATA show, and on the way home we ended up smashing the front of my Explorer. We hit a doe at about 75 miles an hour. It didn't sound good at all. We killed a deer.
Woo!
With the car. I've never seen anything's head come apart quite like that. Have y'all ever seen the movie RoboCop? When the acid gets dumped on that guy and he gets hit by a car, and his head gets blown apart like a pumpkin? That's sort of what it looked like. In fact, that doe is the only deer I've ever killed on an Ohio hunting trip, and I killed it with the vehicle. How you doing? Good. Ty had a bunch of errands to run. He had to go pick up a client from a hunt. He had to go set out some trail cameras. So we followed him in his gas-powered side-by-side in the Vantage to see how it would stack up to a gas-powered machine. I'll tell you, the Vantage was impressing me, man. It was holding its own against this gas-operated vehicle, and the one thing that it had hands down was it was a whole lot quieter. Folks out there, do you hear the engine of this one compared to that one? No, you do not.
First morning in the stand here in Ohio. We're hunting with Ty McCombs at Whitetail Outfitters of Ohio. Seen a lot of doe activity, probably, I don't know, 10 or 11 does have come through. This time of year the bucks are really kind of locked down with the does. They've gone from the chase phase to the breed phase, so they're a lot of these bigger bucks. We might have a hard time getting them out of the thickets, but you never know. We're sitting up on a little ridge. That little food plot down there is actually where Shelby, Ty's daughter, killed her deer last year on the show. So we're gonna see. We're gonna sit tight. We got a week in Ohio. Should be good. A lot of big bucks around here.
Just after 12 o'clock, a deer that they call Knobby Knee comes limping up the trail.
Careful. He's looking right at us.
With knobby knee, I had a split second to decide whether to shoot him or not. And looking back on it, I really wish I'd have shot that deer. He's a great deer. Well, on the third day, we headed to a new spot. We had set out a buckeye cam and got some great pictures. We ended up seeing a really nice 2-year-old with this funky chicken foot drop tine thing coming off of his main beam. He's gonna be a beast of a deer one day.
I've had about enough of this not shooting doe stuff. I'm gonna splatter the next one I see.
This was a stand of kind of borderline deer. This was a stand that deer came out and it was like, if he was just a little bit bigger or one more year older.
If we get a big buck to do that, we'll be in business. I'll find a way to get him shot. Passed on a really good 4-year-old buck the first day we were here. 3 pretty good bucks in here. One of them's a borderline shooter. But we're gonna keep hunting. We got another few days, so try to get it done, break it down, and have some of Terry's cooking. I'm about to freeze.
Well, that night we got back to camp, and actually the Ohio episode that we filmed last year from Ty's place was playing on TV. So that was kind of cool to get to watch that with the clients. And those of you who don't know Garrett Tucker, the world famous Garrett Tucker, he's a guide for Ty. Garrett is an accomplished bow hunter. He's won several tournaments. I mean, he's eat up with bow hunting. But Garrett's biggest distinguishing factor is his luscious, flowing, long locks of hair.
One more time. Wait right there.
He had a film that he'd made. It was sort of like an advertisement for Ty's Guide Service that he wanted us to take a look at, give our professional opinion on
We
it.
put in the man out. We hang the tree stands. We put in food plots. Let's take a tour upstairs and check out the hunter's rooms.
So my initial reaction when I started watching this video is this is going in not a good direction, especially when he said he was going to introduce the guys from Red Arrow
We got some
TV.
special guests in camp this week, don't we, Vince? Sure do. Kip Campbell and Josh Jessica White from Red Arrow TV Productions are staying with us this week. Let's go check out their room. Virginia.
I just want to know which one was in the handcuffs.
The scary thing was he thought this up in like 2 minutes.
Let's go look at that deer.
Pretty deer, man.
One of Ty's clients had slammed a good 150-some inch deer. There was a whole bunch of bone laying in the backyard, and everybody in camp was really excited that he'd gotten it done, and this actually ended up being his first whitetail deer with a bow.
It's our 4th morning here in Ohio. It's gotten really cold. So I'm hoping the deer are gonna be moving today. We're back up at the spot where we saw that buck the first day.
I thought that you'd learned your lesson.
If he comes back in that gap right there, I'm gonna wear him out. Should have shot him the first day. We could have been home right now.
But oh, here you go again. You tell me that this time it's different.
Back at our old spot we spent so much time in last season. We spent about a week in this blind and up on that tree stand on the hill over there. We had a really good buck coming into this food plot. We're back here, there's another good buck. It's been hitting it pretty hard, so. If you remember last year, it got dark on us. And the big boy came in and he wouldn't get any closer than about 80 yards.
A bunch of does moved out into the food plot, but they immediately got really spooked and kind of just busted out of there. And I'm thinking, there's no way they winded us, you know, and just our luck, a great big old coyote trots out in the field and he's done scared all our deer off. It was on. I was ready to shoot this coyote, no questions asked.
I got ready to draw back and he ran to the other window. So Josh had to switch the camera to the other window, open the other window. It's hard when you gotta do it on film. Man, he's pretty too. Oh well, we're here to kill deer anyway.
Well, the evening wasn't lost. Right at last light, we saw this shooter buck come out, and it was real dark, and you really couldn't tell much about him, but he was a definite shooter even from that far away. So our game plan for the next day was to get in that draw and hope that, you know, that shooter or another one was going to work their way out of the food plot from feeding all night to come back to bed.
It's, what day is it? 5? 4? Some kind of day. It's like day 4 or something. We're back here behind the food plot. Straight out in front of us is the food plot just over that hill. We're hoping to catch them cruising through here, going back to bed or chasing does or something. Big front's moving in. It's supposed to rain for 3 days solid, starting today at lunchtime. So
Ohio luck continues to be exactly the same as it's always been for us. Bad. We'll construct a little tent to get dressed in. It's actually kind of nice. Sad thing about hunting in the rain, we're probably not gonna see any deer. We're probably gonna get wet. It's probably gonna be miserable. But at least I'm being positive, you know, about it. So, you know, we'd seen some good deer in the food plot, so we headed out to that spot again, and I just see this big rack coming out. You know, no question, he was a shooter deer based on his rack. He appeared to be a 2-year-old deer. I mean, he had a sunk in, sucked up belly, straight back. See his ribs, he was skinny, kind of looked long-legged. He was just a goofy looking deer, thinking he was a 2-year-old and that he may have potential to grow into a 190, 200-inch deer. You know, for the management standpoint on Ty's place, I just had to let him go. We got back to the lodge, of course, and Ty said, "Oh, that's old Pigeon Toe. Oh yeah, he's been around here 40 years. He's a mature deer. Why didn't you shoot him?"
it's the last evening in Ohio. We passed on a buck last night, and it was regrettable that we did so. He's a good deer. Josh and I just thought he was younger than he was. 135-inch maybe.
We were hoping he was going to come back in, and I caught a glimpse of rack and thought it was him at first. We're trying to figure out how, you know, am I going to have to stand up a little bit to give me more elevation, or Josh will have to move the camera, or what we're going to do. So we're sorting through all this, and all of a sudden, this deer just bolts out into the field about 45 yards and stops. And the bucket that I'm sitting on breaks or cracks and makes this loud noise.
I was so shook up. I'm worried about the shot a little bit, man.
You know, I pride myself on practicing and being a very efficient, you know, steel nerve killer. I mean, when the moment of truth comes, I'm generally pretty rock solid. And I just, for whatever reason, hit the deer a little bit high, and it was a tough one to swallow for sure.
You know, when that bucket popped, I just tried to get that arrow off, and man, it shook me up a little bit.
We went back that night, and I watched the footage over and over and over, like, you know, sitting there torturing myself, trying to pick out something in the footage that would let me know that this possibly could be a lethal hit. The next day's plan was I was going to sit in the draw, and the group was going to just push through the woods and look for this deer. And possibly if he was still alive or something happened and he got up, my idea was I was going to be ready to get a shot at him in that tree stand when he came by the trail. I sat up in a stand that me and Josh been sitting in. It's right behind the food plot, in between the food plot and the bedding area. And the plan was the guys were gonna walk through the woods and just look for the deer. If he was wounded and hurt and happened to get up and come by me, I was gonna try to get another shot at him. But I hunted by myself, had my little GoPro camera with me. Shooter 8-pointer came in, right under my stand. I could spit on him. I still had a tag. I could have legally shot him, but you know what? I already let one arrow go. I had a whitetail that we were uncertain about. Until we knew for certain, I wasn't about to draw my bow. They found some blood down here in the road, and we trailed the blood to the top of the hill. And turns out that 10-pointer that I shot last night had been bedded 100 yards behind me when I was in the tree stand this morning. So he's fine now. I mean, he just jumped up and... This scenario is one that you're not going to see on television a lot. A lot of people, a lot of hosts and producers don't want to show this side of bow hunting. But in reality, it is something that happens to everyone. Not how we wanted it to end, but hey, you know, some things in bow hunting, you know, nobody's perfect, and you can't control a lot of stuff that a wild animal does. And looking back at it now, when I have more than a split-second time to make a decision in, I should have aimed at him with, you know, 25-yard pin instead of 30-yard pin, because he was so jacked up. But can't go back and change it now. All we can do is go back to Virginia and try to smack another one. Ty McCombs has got him, man. And it turns out he's still got one nice 10-pointer that's still alive, so y'all can come hunt him. We were heading home from Ohio, and you know, I wanted to get some revenge and actually kill a deer. I had spent too long and too hard of a hunt to, you know, come home with no venison meat, and just wanted to get back and just smack the first doe I saw.
I guess. And we all look for happiness. I hope you know that you were blessed. Troubled soul, we're finally home now. What a road.
She was quarter two, but I knew I was going to eat her lunch from 5 yards.
So, you know, just a great week of hunting, and just a heartbreaking end to a hunt for me. It just burns me up. I can't wait to get back for some redemption. It'll be round 3, man. They say 3 times is a charm, so hopefully we'll head back to Ohio this year and get it done and put this bad luck in Ohio behind us. Don't you wish your girlfriend was a freak like me? Don't air that, please. We're here in Whitetail Outfitters of Ohio this week with Ty McCombs. And I just dropped a $500 microphone. I made you a painting. I'm keeping the handcuffs, Tucker. They were a gift.
I am the best tent builder and the best hunter after my daddy, after him. No one could outbuild a tent or out-hunt him in his mind.
I don't know if that's politically correct, even with a deer. Maybe I ought to say handy-capable buck. Whatever. His knees were all screwed up. He needed some magic shoes. But he's a crippled deer.